You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Jim Breuer. If you don't know him, he's a comedian from like Saturday Night Live. Very, very famous. I got in a feud with him like forever ago. Seems like a super nice guy, honestly. And a very down-to-earth, honest person. But a complete nutcase, I'm sorry to say. Listen to what he had to say here. He's complaining about chemtrails.
Governor DeSantis, you put out a memo in the Florida thing that said we are banning geoengineering and chemicals, and it's a fine, and you can throw in jail, and it's a felony. Well, guess what? Today, I filmed it. Either somebody's laughing hysterically in DeSantis' face and the entire administration of Florida, just laughing in your face, giving you two middle fingers right to your face, disrespecting you like that. I got multiple messages today saying they were spraying the snot out of everywhere, and they were. We were clear for a while today, and they just kept spraying and spraying and spraying, and would turn into like these clouds. So I'm begging DeSantis of Florida, did you really ban it? Are you in on it? Or are they laughing in your face and they're going, we don't care about you, Governor DeSantis, and we're not scared of you? Because I'm telling you right now, there's no way you can't tell who took off and flew all over to South Florida, all over Naples, all over Bonita Springs, all over the entire Southwest Florida today on Veterans Day, just dropping chemical. Bro, just say you want to kill us.
Tell me you don't know how airplanes work without telling me you don't know how airplanes work. He filmed an airplane going through the skies, and he showed a contrail. A contrail is not a chemtrail. Oh my God, dude. These people are nuts. I'm sorry, man. Chemtrails are this idea that whoever they is, are spraying chemicals all over the United States to control people's minds or whatever. Contrails, on the other hand, are what happens when an airplane flies in atmosphere that is with a temperature difference between like the atmosphere that it's in and the engines that are running. And it creates basically ice crystals that vary from, they'll stick around for 30 seconds sometimes, up to like hours. That's what contrails are. They're not the same as chemtrails. The chemtrails conspiracy kind of encapsulates the idea that the government is trying to control people's minds with chemicals. That's what it's about. Unfortunately, I have to say, Jim Breuer, this is not like his first foray into insanity. Like I said, I actually got into a bit of a scuffle with him, and he covered me on his podcast, The Bruniverse. That's what he calls it. I used to watch this dude all the time when I was younger on Comedy Central. I loved his stuff. He was very, very funny sometimes. But, and again, I think he's honest, but he is honestly out of his gourd.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Do you guys remember this one? This one is shortly after COVID started ravaging the country. This is mid-December 2021. So actually it had been about a year and a half, almost 2 years since COVID had really started hitting everything. The vaccine had already come out, and Jim Breuer talked about it.
You know what a cockatoo is? A cockatoo.
Bro, is that Bill Gates in the audience? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure why everyone's laughing.
And that's what everyone's become. Little cockatoos staring at the screen. Facts and figures, facts and figures. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci.
Like, I'm sorry that we wanted evidence for your absolutely absurd claims that the vaccine was going to kill people any 5 minutes now, and that we were all going to suddenly die and all of that other. But look, we're years out from that now. I am over 30 and I have 3 COVID vaccines. I got vaccinated 3 times. Now, according to the people that Jim Brewer listened to and spoke to and based all of his stuff off of, I should be dead, right? Like Sherry Tenpenny?
The more shots you get, the more you destroy your immune system and the faster that happens.
This is early April 2022.
And it's anticipated, the German data says
There was no German data.
that by the end of 2022, every fully vaccinated person over the age of 30 may have the equivalent of full-blown vaccine-induced immune-suppressed AIDS.
That's not how that works. This is complete delusion. It was delusion back then as well. But these people fell for it. Jim Brewer fell for it and spread it. And he is like, you would think that it would click with him at some point. Like, oh, this didn't happen. Maybe I should kind of reevaluate literally everything about my life. But for some reason, that didn't happen. He didn't reevaluate anything.
Trust the science. Trust the science.
And look where it got us to trust the science. We came out of the pandemic thanks to the science. We came out on the other side alive. Way more people alive than would have been if we hadn't trusted the science by and large as a society.
Specialist, numbers going up. 1 mask, 2 masks, vaccinated,
And I made this point the last time I talked about this, but Jim Brewer's wife got cancer and was very, very sick. And he trusted a specialist then, but he doesn't trust specialists now. Here's another video of Jim Brewer going completely off the deep end. I mean, full-blown QAnon extremism. This is the Reawaken America tour. They're insane. And this one is from 2023, late January 2023.
I still have my in-laws. My in-laws are like, we gotta get our flu shot, then a booster, then another booster. And I'll say, people are starting to die. Where'd you hear that?
Yes, where did you hear that? That people are starting to die from getting vaccinated. Where did you hear that, Jim? Who told you that? There's this video that I come back to every now and then of this dad telling his daughter, trying to bribe his daughter to not get vaccinated. This is from late May 2021.
I don't want money, though.
I know you don't, but I don't know what else to do.
You didn't do this to Michael and Kelsey. They already got it.
Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I know that? Why do you think I'm f***ing crazy? Your mother got it. Why do you think I'm f***ing crazy? My family is gone. My family is gone. By the end of this flu season, most of you will be dead. What the f*** do you expect me to be?
Okay.
Did this guy reevaluate at all when this didn't happen? When his family came out the other side just fine? When they didn't die suddenly from the vaccine? When they didn't have full-blown immune-suppressed AIDS from getting booster shots? Did he reevaluate? Of course he didn't. Did Jim Brewer reevaluate? No. He's over here talking about chemtrails. It's like, what do I need to say to get through to you? What do I need to do to bust through that bubble? Is there anything that could bust through? Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
What are you, one of those conspiracy theorists?
I am a fan of kind of his presentation. I think that he presents really well.
What are you, a cult member? Extremist, one of them?
Here in the NFL,
That's a reference to Damar Hamlin. Is that his name? Who was playing football and then he got hit in the chest and he fell over and he survived and he was okay. And he's like the only example of that happening. So people like took that and said, oh, it was a vaccine. It was a vaccine. The vaccine did it. Even though it was complete nonsense. Turned into a massive culture war issue that was complete nonsense from day one.
crazy conspiracy theorist.
Anyway, I'm really disappointed to see that Jim Brewer has not pulled it together this entire time, and I don't believe that he will. I don't believe that he's going to see the world for what it is. I mean, I had hopes because he's honest. I believe that. I believe that he is an honest person. And, you know, if you're honest for long enough and you evaluate things from an honest perspective, I like to think that you come back to reality. But I just don't think it's going to happen with him. Here's another one. Check this out.
I'm telling you, people, when you see this, it's a very special club.
He says when you see a picture of like a celebrity covering their eye like this, it's a secret. It means that they're secretly a part of like a pedophile ring or whatever.
You had to be indoctrinated to get that club.
And of course, as a celebrity, he knows this, you see. He has the secret inside info on this.
When you see black eyes, that's a club. You have to be indoctrinated by that club. There you go. That's the meat dress of Lady Gaga. Now, you ain't telling me she joined a special, creepy, demonic club. And
Lady Gaga is just a fucking weirdo. Could that be the explanation? Could it be that simple that Lady Gaga is just fucking odd? Does there have to be a conspiracy theory about her controlling mind control and all that other shit? Does it really have to be a conspiracy? She can't just be weird?
when these people are finally put in that category, the demons that are pulling their strings put them on the highest ladder to become popular, to sway everyone in the wrong direction.
So Lady Gaga actually sucks. She's just been elevated by demons. Okay. Checks out.
It's been a classic move since the beginning of time. Roman Empire, it goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, beginning of time. Absolutely. Sad, dude. Honestly, sad. Please, Jim, reevaluate. Look at the facts and the evidence again and reevaluate, because I believe that you're honest. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Chemtrails are making a comeback right now. Like, oh my god, dude. There are so many political actors, like politicians, who are talking about chemtrails right now. And it's pretty much exclusively like QAnon politicians, like Doug Mastriano, this guy right here, Pennsylvania senator, I believe, ran for governor of Pennsylvania and lost. RFK Jr. is also kind of a chemtrailer. And Jim Brewer, who I talked about in another video, if you guys want to watch that one. But like Nancy Mace is jumping on the chemtrail bandwagon now.
Do you intend to take any action to remove fluoride from our water?
Are you going to take any action to remove fluoride? Is that what?
To remove fluoride from our water.
Fluoride from water. I would support any action to remove fluoride from our water and also ban chemtrails. Like, we should do that too. Other states are doing it. Tennessee, I think, recently did it as well. Florida just did it. We will follow. Again, I want us to lead. I don't want to be following. But if we have to follow other states until we get there, we will do it. But I support it. Yep.
Bro, what? Chemtrails are not real, okay? Oh my God. This conspiracy theory, dude, I remember hearing about it when I was little. I was like 10 when I heard about it. I was like, what? Are you serious? People believe this? And we've got some true believers now. I played this previously, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing with Jim Brewer since it was in another video, but here's just another example of a well-known right-wing figure talking about chemtrails.
Governor DeSantis, you put out a memo in the Florida thing that said we are banning geoengineering and chemicals, and it's a fine, and you get thrown in jail, and it's a felony. Well, guess what? Today, I filmed it. Either somebody's laughing hysterically in DeSantis' face and the entire administration of Florida, just laughing in your...
Bro saw an airplane and unironically believed that it was chemtrails. I mean, what is happening right now in this country? And honestly, like the whole chemtrail thing is one of the most entertaining conspiracy theories to me because it's so absolutely insane. But check this one out. This is Doug Mastriano. And this one is actually from June 2025, I believe.
The question was supposed to be in the Clean Air Preservation Act, and that's Senate Bill 308. I think that's what he's going to get to in the end. So what we have proposed, I've received complaints from my constituents, actually from people from across the state, on weather altering techniques. And this is not
weather altering techniques.
Conspiracy.
It's not conspiracy, he says.
I'd ask people to look to the skies first off. That what we see happening above us is not normal. It's not typical contrails. You know, contrails, condensation trails, are when ice crystals form in the aftermath and the exhausts of the heated exhausts of jet aircraft. And those normally, depending on humidity in the sky, dissipate between 30 and 90 seconds.
No, they dissipate between 30 seconds and sometimes hours. Sometimes it takes hours.
When you have something coming out of the back of the aircraft that expands and grows and doesn't dissipate, that's not a contrail. That's not ice crystals. And so this goes back to actually John F. Kennedy, where it was in vogue to claim science that we could control weather. So cloud seeding became in vogue and very popular in the 60s.
Yeah, cloud seeding and chemtrails are not the same thing. Please get help. I am begging you.
At least 9 known state-funded programs out west in the drier states that are ongoing at the state level. What the federal government is doing is actually, that's where we have our questions. Actually, in Chambersburg, Franklin and Fulton counties, there was a group of people experimenting in the skies over Franklin County, and that resulted in a General Assembly in 1967 passing a law to regulate weather modification, and it basically couldn't do it. There was a bunch of folks using...
This is so stupid, dude. We seed clouds to extend the rainy season over certain areas like farmland and stuff all the time. Because it helps feed people. It helps water the crops and stuff like that. Like, this is a fundamental piece of the infrastructure that we need to survive as a species, cloud seeding. And these dummies think that we're putting like chemicals in the air to brainwash people. Like, what? Oh my God.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
And then there's this little ditty right here. This might be one of my favorites.
Aged urine has got hundreds of millions of stem cells. You get a 64-ounce mason jar and just start peeing in it first thing in the morning and age it a little bit. You got a pool deck in Vegas? Go out on your pool deck, get it on the sun. I swear to God, when I put it on my face or when I put it on my body, aches and pains go away. When I
aged urine, rub it all over your face.
Put it on my face, my mood lifts.
Wow. That instantaneous?
Oh, man. It's money.
I know.
It's money. The dude unironically just said it's money. That's awesome. I love that. One more time. It's what?
Put it on my face, my mood lifts.
Wow. That instantaneous?
Oh, man. It's money.
I know certain athletes use it on their feet after games, football games, or whatever. They'll soak their feet in it.
Really? I never heard that, but great.
There's a famous NFL player that did it. I guess his feet got inflamed during the game, so he would just soak them in there.
Good.
In piss. Literally piss in a jug and soak your feet in it. Are you serious right now? What is happening? Oh my God, dude.
Well, aged urine's making a comeback. Well, Dr. Edward Group says if you get maimed by these poison injections and...
Talking about Talking about vaccines, of course.
The nanobots are getting...
The nanobots.
Yeah, and your skin's crawling with chemtrail nanobots and all this, and the hydrogels and the synthetic red blood cells. Urine is the only way back because it holds your stem cells, which is the blueprint for your DNA.
No. To my understanding, it does not have stem cells in it. But either way, literally nothing that he just said was true. But you see, we've got a little bit of a pattern that we're fitting now. Chemtrails aren't just chemicals to brainwash you. They're nanobots. They're dropping nanobots from the skies. Bro, I don't know what is happening right now, but like chemtrails are massive.
Hey guys, so the chemtrails are messages from the universe, from the divine. Thank you, birds, for confirming.
Thank you, birds, for confirming.
Don't be afraid of chemtrails. If you see a chemtrail, a plane leaving a trail up in the sky and it's going up, like it's ascending, that means you're ascending. If the chemtrail is going down, it means that you are grounding back in, you are integrating in a phase of integration. If you see a chemtrail that's going straight across in a perfect straight line,
Sounds like he needs some chemtrails.
Then that means you're in a nice place of balance. Maybe you've integrated both worlds or both dark and light aspects of yourself. And then if it's a massive chemtrail that goes across the whole sky and it's real big and thick, that means it's a big quantum leap. If it's a small chemtrail, it means it's a smaller quantum leap. So
it's a quantum leap.
The universe communicating with you, speaking to you. You don't need to be afraid of chemtrails. Nothing can touch you. You are the divine.
I saw this and I thought to myself, this is certainly satire, right? I don't believe it is. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty confident this is real. Like I said, chemtrails making a big comeback. Look at what, Nancy Mace said. Look at Jim Brewer and all these other people. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. And RFK Jr., like, it's getting so big that RFK Jr. is on Dr. Phil, and there's somebody in the audience that asked him about it.
Senator Kennedy, my name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections.
Stratospheric aerosol injections. We've moved up from chemtrails all the way to stratospheric aerosol injections. Okay.
That are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium.
Bromium? Is bromium real? Do you mean bromine? Bromium. Bromium is not a chemical. I just want to verify. No, bromine is the chemical, not bromium.
Sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be...
Metal fucking name, Dane Wigington. I love it.
Sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
How do we stop chemtrails? Bromium, particularly.
That is not happening in my agency. We don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA.
Chemtrailer says what? That's what a chemtrailer would say. It's done by DARPA. Yeah, blame someone else. You know you're dropping chemtrails on us.
We think by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Okay. Naricles has bromium, the chemical bond between bros. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's so stupid, dude.
So, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that.
We're bringing on a chemtrailer to only think about chemtrails.
Find out who's doing it and holding them accountable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's creepy as shit. I forgot that was at the end of the video. God, dude, it's insane. It is insane. What the hell is happening? And how do we stop it? Why do we have chemtrails all through the government right now? Like, why is this the subject that people are thinking about 24/7? This is wild to me. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people need help for real. We'll be right back.
Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. I come across this debate from Charlie Kirk. Somebody animated this on YouTube, but it's a debate between Charlie Kirk and an atheist. And I thought it was really interesting to kind of examine his technique and see how kind of dirty he is when he debates people sometimes. Listen to this.
Sorry, it's first time. A little nervous. All right, so I have a friend named Thomas Sheedy. He is the founder of an organization called Atheists for Liberty. He is openly conservative, but he's mostly interested in atheist activism and normalizing atheism in all sects, including the conservative movement. He seems to be under the impression that a lot of conservatives, including you, are more hesitant to work with atheist organizations. Is there any truth to that?
Of course, obviously, yes. Charlie Kirk hated atheists.
Yes and no. I mean, if you're an atheist and you want to be part of the conservative movement, go ahead. But you must be an honest atheist and acknowledge that morality is definitionally subjective without a belief in God.
I mean, it's definitionally subjective, period. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And as I'm sure you can already tell, that's the angle of attack that he intends to come at this conversation from. It's going to be about morality. And analyzing how he kind of attacks atheists from a moral perspective is really vile, honestly. But let's keep listening.
You cannot be an atheist and believe in objective morality. It is an impossibility.
You can believe in objective morality all you want, but there is no objective morality. It's literally impossible to get your morality from the Bible. Any moral precepts it lays down are reversed a chapter later. There are Christian groups that believe that gay people should be accepted, and there are Christian groups that believe that they shouldn't. And both groups have their justifications rooted in Bible verses. You picked what you wanted the Bible to say and found a verse to back it up.
And true atheists will acknowledge this. At some point, you have an ought claim. Well, things ought to be a certain way. We as Christians, or we that believe in the divine, we have is claims that murder is wrong.
Slavery is okay. Yes, that was a moral position held by religious people in the South, in the United States, honestly, today. Seriously, today. And I'll prove that in a minute. You pretend that you have a solid moral foundation. You do not. You don't. And since I'm talking about it, let me just prove it. This is Joshua Hames, host of Reformation Red Pill, knows Pete Hegseth and his pastor. I think he's a pastor at Pete Hegseth's church, or he's affiliated with him. He has his pastor on all the time. Very close link there.
The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years. Okay, I'll take it a step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being. I know. Just wait. Some of you guys are really upset, but let's talk through this because it is very important that every Christian affirm what I just said. And not only should...
The point is that there is no objective morality. There isn't. There just is not. Whether you like that fact or not. Christians use the Bible to justify slavery. Now, you can say that my morality is objective and it's based on the Bible, but if that's the case, then you must affirm that slavery is good, according to the Bible, right?
Claims that murder is wrong, whereas an atheist will say, well, murder ought to be wrong, because you can't have an objective definition.
I don't know what the that means or why it matters. He's using the is-ought thing completely backward. That's not, he's mixing up metaphors right now, but okay, whatever.
If there is not a divine eternal power over you. So look, if an atheist wants to fight alongside of us to end abortion or to try and end the massacring of our kids, that's called gender affirming care.
Massacring kids. Gender affirming care is massacring kids. I don't know who needs to hear this, but that's not happening. That was never happening. But okay.
Or if an atheist wants to march alongside of us to say no men and female sports, they're more than welcome to be able to do that.
I wonder if he feels the same about men preying on women's spaces by going into those women's spaces to look at them and to perv on them, basically. I mean, I would be very against men going into women's spaces, like their bathrooms, their changing rooms, to prey on them, to get some kind of sick enjoyment out of it. You know, I would be opposed to that.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. Right. I want to make sure that
you're like
everything
a doctor.
is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get away with it.
Yeah, I would definitely be opposed to men going into women's spaces, perving on them. That's not what's happening with trans people, though, of course. They're using the fucking bathroom. That's very different from somebody openly stating, I am going into this women's changing room to look at these women when they are naked. But would you be surprised to find that Charlie Kirk voted for Donald Trump? He never cared about women or women's spaces or protecting women from predators. This is all about culture war issues. This is all about hurting somebody that he doesn't like. But okay, let's continue.
More than welcome to be able to do that. But Atheists for Liberty is an interesting phrase because I don't believe you can have liberty without God, because liberty is not man's idea, it is God's idea.
What are you smoking? You think God is in favor of liberty? Do you remember the Crusades? Did you read about that when you were little?
That's just my own personal belief, and it's also the belief of everything that built this nation.
Well, it's a wrong belief, and no, it's not. I'm sorry, I have to break down every single thing. God was intentionally, specifically, explicitly not part of our Constitution intentionally. We are the first secular constitution in world history at this scale, certainly. No one had ever done this before.
But yes, I know a lot of good atheists. The question, though, is how do you know they're good? It's because you're appealing to a moral authority above just the secular material realm, one that is transcendent, we would believe, given by God.
Literally impossible to get your morality from the Bible.
Well, I don't believe in objective morality. I do know there are plenty of atheists who are moral objectivists.
Are you an atheist? Sorry to interrupt. But
oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just, can I ask you a question? And I know this is your first time at the mic, so I'm just going to try to be tender in doing this.
This is Charlie Kirk manipulating the conversation, pushing it in a direction. He's not being tender. He's using dirty debate tactics to control the microphone. Okay. Now he's going to use another dirty debate tactic. Ready?
Try to be tender in doing this.
Okay, appreciate that.
So you don't believe in objective morality, right?
I personally don't.
Okay. Was the Holocaust objectively wrong?
This is a trick question that has no good answer. And if I had been in this seat, I would have said, I may have refused to answer it because there is no objective morality. Or maybe I would have asked Charlie Kirk something that the Bible endorses that is as wrong as it gets. Is slavery objectively wrong? Flip it back around in that case, because he's obviously trying to get him into a gotcha situation. The Holocaust was not objectively wrong. Look at how the Nazis viewed it in their moral framework, which is subjective because they have a different one than us. They believe they were doing the right thing. So it wasn't wrong objectively. It was wrong subjectively, and it was right subjectively in their eyes. It was a cheap gotcha. This is what Charlie Kirk was famous for.
Objectively, no, but it would have been better if it didn't happen because most people wouldn't want that to happen.
So that's where we are on different planets. And that's okay.
Dude, there's the gotcha. You can hear the people in the background. Oh my God.
I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to be graceful in the way that we're going about this.
No, he's trying to put him in gotchas and be a scumbag, actually.
Sure. Do you think Hitler was objectively evil?
Again, do you think slavery was objectively evil? Was Robert E. Lee objectively evil? Was Jefferson Davis of the Confederacy objectively evil? He's manipulating the word objective here.
No, because it's subjective.
But I just hope all of you guys understand he's being an honest atheist to your credit, because as an atheist, you're not allowed to say anything is objectively right or wrong. I come from a world...
It's not that you're not allowed to. It's just subjective. Morality is subjective. That's just what it is. And he admits that in a minute.
I come from a worldview that when you butcher 6 million people, that is objectively wrong no matter what.
But it's not. This is the thing. It's subjectively wrong because morality is subjective.
So, and it's very important. It's a very important truth claim, because when you do not have objective truth anchoring your society, then it becomes a power struggle. If you do not have truth, then power will reign. Whoever can get the most amount of power then ends up having the most amount of say over society.
That's how it's always been. Are you serious right now? What are you talking about?
We believe what is objectively right, true, good, and beautiful should be transcendent over society. Your thoughts?
So do you believe objective morality specifically comes from the Bible?
Yes and no. It's in nature, and the Bible explains nature. So objective morality can be discovered in many different cultures and societies, pointing towards what we believe is the.
So that's a backhanded way of saying I don't believe in objective morality. That's what that means. I don't accept objective morality. And I bet he would cherry pick the things in the Bible that he does not think represent moral good, like slavery, for example. He would throw that out completely.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Ultimate objective truth, Jesus Christ. C.S. Lewis explained this the best in his book, Abolition of Man, which is that almost every religion talks about a certain way to live, a Tao or a path that we should be on. And so more simply than just the Bible, we believe in what the founders believed, which is an ethical monotheism, that there is one God. He has a general.
The founders did not believe in that. He's packing a lot of claims and assumptions into all of this. Thomas Jefferson particularly was very much not a Christian, did not like Christianity, and was even accused of being an atheist by his political opponents heavily.
Way that he wants you to live. For example, murdering is bad, kidnapping is wrong, defense of the innocent, and we should do our best to try to live alongside of that path.
Okay, well, I think those are very interesting examples. You bring up the founders, you bring up Hitler, but Hitler was a self-proclaimed Catholic, and he called Nazism a Christian movement.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, I would be careful saying that. He was not. That's okay.
Yes, he was. Are you shitting me?
He called himself a Catholic. He specifically said in 1927, our movement is Christian. They had on the belt buckles, God on our side.
Yeah,
that is where
actually it said, God with us, Gott mit uns. And that was on the belt buckles of the Wehrmacht, not the SS. A lot of people get that wrong. I wrote a whole book about this. Was Hitler an atheist? On Amazon and Audible. It was a slogan that came from Prussia, and Prussia was like a state of Germany or whatever that was like a separate country before World War I believe, and was a state from the end of World War I to the end of World War II, I think. And yeah, they liked their slogan so much that they put it on the military belt buckles. Gott mit uns. And Hitler was not just baptized Catholic, but he was confirmed Catholic at 13 or something like that. I don't remember how old now. He was very much religious. However, he did not like power structures that he didn't control. Think like Donald Trump. He doesn't like anything existing that he does not directly control. So he hated the Pope, and he hated the Vatican and Catholicism as an institution. And down the line, he talked a lot of shit about the institution of religion. You know, there's something called table talk. It's monologues. It's Hitler's monologues by the end of the war in his Führerbunker. He had somebody writing down the things that he said in his monologues at dinner. Martin Bormann primarily, and some other people. But it can't fully be trusted because Bormann was a raging atheist who hated Christianity, and he put words on Hitler's lips a lot of the time. But for the most part, the negative things Hitler said about religion were almost exclusively directed toward clergy and the people and the Pope, and priests taking advantage of children and things like that. It mostly wasn't about religion at all. If I had to guess, I would say Hitler was a Christian all through, beginning to end, but really soured on the institution of religion by the end of his life in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
that is where, to the Almighty God, atheists were not trusted to be in the SS.
That's not true.
Even if I grant you that, despite the fact that he killed a lot of pastors and priests, and there, of course, you can pervert things in the name of God. No one denounces that. Just as a side note, though.
Well, see, that's the problem. That's why you can't have objective morality, because things can be, quote unquote, perverted in the name of God, like you said. Anybody can pull anything out of the Bible that they want and find a reason to justify literally any position with it. Objective morality does not exist. And Charlie Kirk knew that.
Denounces that. Just as a side note, though, far more people died under the banner of atheism than Christianity in the 20th century.
I'll give it a fucking rest.
Mao was an atheist. Stalin was an atheist. Pol Pot was an atheist. Believing in no God actually...
Yeah, and they drank water, too. You blaming water drinkers for the deaths of millions?
Led to the destruction and the murder of well over 100 million people. And that's fine. So, again, if atheists want to come alongside us as conservatives and fight for what is good, that is great. But I will never acknowledge that atheists can tell me what is objectively good. They can only give me a preference. They cannot tell me what is right. And preferences eventually will lead you towards moral and societal decline.
Okay, so I think
that's absolute absurd nonsense, obviously. Every moral precept is a preference or a belief. All of it is. And our moral positions are formed out by the society around us. Now, I've talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning again. My position on morality is formed out by two core pillars: bodily autonomy and empathy. Bodily autonomy and empathy. Bodily autonomy first. Think about it this way. You've probably all heard the trolley problem. You've got somebody standing on tracks, and you have 5 people down the tracks, and then you have one person down another set of tracks. And if you flip a lever, a train is going to go kill one person instead of 5 down the other set of tracks. Every moral person would say, kill the one to save the 5, obviously. But the trolley problem is modified a little bit when you say, what if there are 5 sick people who need organ transplants in a doctor's office? One needs a lung, one needs a liver, one needs a kidney. And then there's you, person number 6, who's perfectly healthy, just there for a checkup. The doctor is in his own kind of trolley problem scenario, in that he could take your organs out and give them to these 5 people, and in the process save 5 lives by sacrificing one. Why doesn't he do that? The morally good thing is to save more lives. That's utilitarianism, right? But bodily autonomy comes into play in this scenario. Your wishes need to be respected. Your life needs to be in your own hands, not in others' hands. Now, in the trolley problem, you can't consult with the other person. This is like a split-second decision that you can't deliberate or discuss or figure out whose life is worth more or whatever other thing. You have to make a decision now because somebody is going to die. And when you're in that situation where you have no other choice, save 1 or save 5, the answer is always going to be save 5. That's utilitarianism. But bodily autonomy wins out at the end of the day. That's basically the moral system of everybody in the United States, because that's what we were that's how it's been for a long time. That's what we were raised in, the environment in which we were raised. So that's our moral system. And Charlie Kirk and others tried to distort it and twist it around and turn it into something different to suit their own ends, to benefit themselves at the end of the day. And you know what? I'm sorry, one more thing. Fascism, this is what fascism is. Fascism is removing bodily autonomy from the equation. Fascism is utilitarianism. Conform or else. Whatever is good for the whole is good for the parts. Being gay is wrong in the fascist's mind, right? It's dangerous for society. So I'm going to take your bodily autonomy away and not allow you to live your life the way that you want to live your life. I'm going to take your personal liberty away, take your freedom away to make decisions for yourself and your own body because it's better for society. Obviously, it's not better for society, but even if it were better for society, you can see how backward and wrong that thinking is, right? That's what fascism is, conform or else. It's like erasing the bodily autonomy section of our morality. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
Okay, so I think you just listed a bunch of communists, and it's worth acknowledging the vast majority of atheists are not communists, just like the vast majority of Christians are not theocrats who don't support the divine right. It's also worth acknowledging that the founders were actually inspired by Enlightenment values, not by the Bible. America was founded as a secular nation. We were the first, quote-unquote, godless constitution.
Yeah, again, I've done this so many times, so I don't know if we want to waste our time doing this, but 55 out of 56 of the signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians.
Yeah, no fucking shit. Wow, a lot of people 200 years ago or 300 or whatever were like churchgoers. Wow, knock me over with a feather. Aside from that, he got the statistic wrong. The statistic is 55 out of 56 were pastors, which is wrong. They weren't. That's incorrect. The claim is they went to seminary school, like to pastor school or whatever. Actually, they just went to college, which they called seminary at the time. It's a claim from David Barton, I think. Anyway, like literally everything that Charlie Kirk said in this was a lie or twisted around in some substantial way.
Canada, 13 of the states at the time of ratification required a declaration of faith in order for you to serve in the states. Our birth certificate, which is the Mayflower Compact, said explicitly, we are here to spread Christianity throughout the land. It was
Wait, our birth certificate? I thought that would have been the Declaration of Independence. What are you talking about? The Mayflower Compact? What does that have to do with anything? Yes, the people who originally arrived in the United States on like the Mayflower and stuff were largely made up of religious extremists, of course. I don't understand how that connects to literally anything. Why do I give a shit about that?
the first great revival that led to the American Revolution of Jonathan Edwards and Jonathan Mayhew and George Whitefield that preached all across the eastern seaboard. John Adams famously said the Constitution is written solely for a moral and religious people.
Dude, I can't stand John Adams. He's such a scumbag. John Adams is one of the only people, one of very few founding fathers who you could legitimately say was a Christian nationalist. And that's why that quote gets thrown around every time this conversation comes up, because it's one of the only quotes that they have to back up their point. John and Abigail Adams, his wife, complete nutcases, both of them. They kept trying to write religious into the Constitution, and they literally kept writing new drafts because they had to erase basically what John Adams was putting in. They did not want that in there. Intentionally, specifically, removed a bunch of religious language from the draft, the Constitution draft. So yeah, great. Thank you for that single quote that gets passed around constantly.
It's wholly inadequate for the people of any other. We were a Christian nation that was able to embrace the idea of a free society. God has mentioned
No, that's the thing. You can't have a Christian society and a free society. You can have one or the other.
A Christian nation that was able to embrace the idea of a free society. God is mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Not only that, Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, where it says we appeal to the divine judge of the universe. Which,
first of all, who gives a f? Why do I care about that? We're talking about the Constitution. It's a secular constitution. And I'm pretty sure the Declaration of Independence only mentions God once. I could be wrong, but in the opener, at the very least, it says our rights come from God, basically. It wasn't saying we get our rights from God. It was saying we get our rights from outside of government, first and foremost. But, Charlie Kirk, he knew that. I'm sure he knew that.
Of course, is a direct appeal to Jesus in the book of Revelation. Yes, there were rationalist Enlightenment values that informed some of the founders, but it irrefutably was a Christian nation.
No, it simply was not. It was intentionally, specifically, a secular nation.
Maryland was Catholic. Pennsylvania was Quaker. Almost every state had their own specific type of Christian preference. The idea of an atheist or not believing in any God was an idea that was so foreign to the founders. Even Thomas Jefferson, the great deist, he revered the Bible, albeit with, some significant edits.
Dude, this is such a lie. This is such complete and total bullshit, what he's saying right now. All of this is a lie.
However, the idea of believing in no cosmological or no axiological or no teleological or no ontological being would be a concept that our founding fathers would not just find foreign, they would find it extraordinarily dangerous. Why? Because the French Revolution was happening simultaneously as the American Revolution, which was explicitly atheist. They actually recreated their own gods and they said, we are going to appeal to what? The God of reason.
Bro, what the f*** are you smoking? He's going off in directions I can't even follow. What are you talking about? Are we talking? Wait, they said we're going to appeal to the God of reason. Are we talking about the French Revolution or are we talking about the American Revolution now? I'm so lost. He's just going off on this random complaint that doesn't make any sense.
reason. And this is my final contention, is that when I talk to atheists, the French Revolution is a great example. They literally tried to change the Gregorian calendar to a 10-day week. They went and imprisoned people of faith. They put priests in jail, all these different sorts of things. They said, we are going to appeal to the God of reason. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry. Hard doubt on that. Let me just look this up to see. Hang on 1 second. No need to wonder. Just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. Okay, here's what's true. The cult of reason was France's first state-sponsored atheistic religion, created to replace Christianity during the Revolution. They literally did worship reason. Churches were transformed into temples of reason, with ceremonies dedicated to philosophy, and the Notre Dame Cathedral hosted a Feast of Reason on November 10th, 1793. Interesting. Where Kirk is misleading, the cult of reason only lasted barely a year before being replaced in 1794, and it wasn't the whole revolution. The de-Christianization was mostly motivated by political and economic concerns, stripping the Catholic Church's power and wealth. It was anti-clerical first, atheistic second. Even the revolutionaries opposed it. Robespierre was disgusted by it, calling atheism a social evil and threat to public morality. He had the cult of reason's leaders Hebert and Momoro executed and replaced with his deistic cult of the supreme being, which believed in a creator god. It was messy. Historians describe it as a hodgepodge of ideas and multifarious phenomenon marked by disorderliness. Different places celebrated different things: reason, liberty, nature, the revolution itself. So he's twisting this completely out of proportion is the bottom line.
To the God of reason. Well, how did that work out? It worked out with the guillotine and the slaughter of tens of thousands of people. The French Revolution was one of
the guillotine for the leaders of the cult of reason. Like, they were killed.
Thousands of people. The French Revolution was one of the greatest disasters in human recorded history. Contrast that with the American Revolution. Why did the...
Wait, are you saying that the French should not have had a revolution? Am I reading this correctly?
American Revolution create the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world, and the French Revolution resulted in a lot of blood and even the killing of their own once leader, Maximilien Robespierre. It's because we were anchored on Christian ideas.
Okay. So you think that it was bad to have a French Revolution? Like, what does this have to do with literally anything? I don't understand. I'm so fucking lost right now.
If you are not anchored on Christian ideas, then don't be surprised when all of a sudden there is no fruit to the harvest that you're trying to create. Thank you for your time. I want to try to get to the next question.
Anyway, yeah. Wow. He didn't even give the dude a chance to respond. That's just sad. Like, the whole thing kind of shows you Charlie Kirk's underhanded, dirty tactics to lie and twist things around and deceive people as a foundation for how he operates generally, or how he operated. That bothers me a lot. Tell me what you think in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Valentina Gomez. Valentina Gomez, I think is her name. She's a Republican running for office in Texas, I'm pretty sure. And she's a complete scumbag. Listen to this.
I quoted the Bible at a church and they escorted me out.
I quoted the Bible at a church and they escorted me out. I'm sure we can all guess before even seeing it what she's talking about, right? She said gay people will go to hell and everything. And when she says she means gay person.
I would say Romans 1:32, homosexuality is a sin, and whoever supports that is worthy of death. You're not a pastor, you're a groomer. It's a satanic.
So, Jesus Christ, that's disgusting, dude. First of all, is it Romans 1:32? I don't think it is. I think it's Romans 1:29. Although people know God's decree that those who do wrong deserve death, they continue to do it and also approve of others who do the same. She's basically, here, I'm just going to read the subtitles since you can't really understand what she's saying. It says, whoever supports that, being gay, that is worthy of death. You're not a pastor, you're a groomer. You're not a pastor, this is a satanic child church. I love how, God, I'm going to have so much censoring to do. I love how she, as presumably a Trump supporter, is focusing her efforts on churches instead of Donald Trump, who seems pretty obvious to me, is most definitely, obviously, a right? I don't know how you could see it any other way.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with it.
So I'm wondering why Valentina Gomez isn't showing outrage over this. Instead, she's showing outrage over people literally just going to church. They were just going to church.
Satanic culture. Get on your knees.
You're going to ask me to leave.
We'll come back around in a second and talk about what she's saying. I just want to watch.
Get on your knees.
You're going to ask me to
Follow
leave.
Jesus Christ. Ask God for forgiveness.
Please.
Follow Jesus Christ. He's the way, the truth, and the life. Do not use his name in vain, because that's exactly what this church is doing. He's using his name in vain.
Just completely disgusting person. Seriously. She said that they're groomers, satanic church, leave your pride behind, get on your knees and follow Jesus Christ. Yeah, pleasure Jesus Christ like a young boy should, right? Ask God for forgiveness, follow Jesus. He's the way, the truth, and the life. Taking his name in vain. Disgusting, dude.
His name in vain. This church is an abomination. All of you are an abomination.
Then why the f*** are you there? Leave them alone if you feel that way. Let them live their lives and you live your life. Why do people have to be scumbags and shove their lives in everybody else's business? Like, I don't understand why she can't just go do her thing somewhere else.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
When I'm in Congress, I'm taking away the 501(c)(3) status of all churches and terrorist mosques. We will ban halal.
Wow, that's religious freedom right there, right? I'm taking away the 501(c)(3) status of churches that I disagree with religiously. I'm finding the churches that have doctrines that I don't like, and I am banning them. I'm getting rid of them. I am going to force them to pay taxes, unlike the other churches who I agree with, who will not have to pay taxes. Yeah, totally. Super fair, impartial process there, Valentina.
Jobs, and once their terrorist funding dries up, I'm going to start buying them and tearing down every mosque one by one. I look forward to making Texas the worst place for and terrorist Muslims to live in, so help me God. Jesus is king.
Jesus is king. Colossal scumbag. But believe it or not, that's not the only video that I have from Valentina Gomez. Check this out. I'm not sure I can even show this on YouTube. I might have to blur it out. We'll see. But check this out.
Daughters will be and your sons beheaded unless we stop Islam once and for all.
Literally took a flamethrower to a Quran. Why? Because she's a fucking scumbag who doesn't believe in religious liberty. I believe you should be allowed to burn a Quran out beyond, like, without question. Absolutely. And I think Islam is ridiculous and harmful and damaging. But her goal here is to be a piece of there's no other underlying anything here. There's no deeper thought. There's no statement she's trying to make. She's trying to be a piece of
We're done turning the other cheek. Remember,
we're done turning the other cheek. That is literally what Jesus told you to do. You saying you're done following Jesus? Like, just come out and say it.
David didn't pray for Goliath. He killed them. America is a Christian nation. So those terrorist Muslims off to any of the 57 Muslim nations. There is only one true God, and that is the God of Israel.
Gave my brothers a drink up, did everything but gave up. Stabbed my back, I came front. Still we win, we prayed up. Even when we die, we raise up. Ain't no wanting no.
She's a piece of shit, dude. Seriously. Again, we should absolutely be able to burn Qurans. I believe in that. But there's no deeper point that she's making here other than to just be a piece of shit, and that's just disgusting. Powered by Jesus Christ, it says. Please do not let her get into Congress. I'm begging you. Holy Jesus of Nazareth, or whoever's Allah, whoever the hell is listening, please Prevent her from getting into Congress, because that would be wild, dude. Oh my God. We already have Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, we already had Marjorie Taylor Greene. We already put up with that stupid. Don't make me do it again. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you signed up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. To counter her complete nonsense, here is a pastor explaining how Jesus actually viewed the gay community.
Jesus said, you love, period. Jesus said, you welcome people, period. Jesus said, you extend radical hospitality, period. Jesus did not say one single word of condemnation about anyone based on sexual orientation or gender identity. In fact, the only mention Jesus really makes of it is this passage in Matthew. Maybe you're familiar with it. It's actually an affirmation. It's buried in ancient language, and it's surrounded by this weird teaching about divorce. But what Jesus said is this, that if you are a eunuch, and you have been a eunuch since birth, that was an ancient way of saying that if you differed from what was expected in terms of what we would call today sexual orientation or gender identity, that if you were a eunuch and you had been a eunuch from birth, that you were loved by God.
People, when they become eunuchs, they have their twig and or berries cut off, and their body doesn't go through the process of picking a gender, basically. Like when you hit puberty, you know, you're flooded with testosterone or estrogen or whatever other chemicals go through your body. And that doesn't happen if you don't have the berry portion of the twig and berry equation. So if you had been a eunuch since birth, Jesus said you were loved by God. You were affirmed. Whether you were masculine or feminine, whether you fit into society's definitions exactly right or not is completely irrelevant. You were loved by God, period. That's what the Bible really says, or that's what Jesus really said about it. Does Valentina Gomez even know about that verse? Does she know what verse it is, for that matter? I doubt it. Does she care? No. She said, we are done turning the other cheek. She doesn't care about what Jesus had to say. She never did. It is about hurting other people. The cruelty is the point with her. I really hope she does not get into Congress. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.